Hello guys, I am back from another video and today it's about what if deku was experimented on. And also, I'm really sorry that I didn't make a video yesterday because school was a complete bitch this time, so I couldn't make a video as fast as I can, so unfortunately I didn't make a video yesterday. So, yeah. So, anyway, in the last video we talked about how when Izuku was fighting his long-lost sister, also known as Izumi, while they were fighting, and a while of fighting, by the way, they were bested, and in the final match, apparently it was a tie, so both of them get half of a medal. And so, when they did, gone back to their dorms, they celebrated as it's the next day, where they pick their hero names. In this case, Izuku's hero name was given to him, and he decides to go for this hero name. His hero name is his hero name being Kha'Zix. So, while he's picking his hero agency that he's going to be interning in, he just goes for Damien because Damien recommended him because he wants him to finish some certain jobs. So, when he gets there, he started killing some high-level villains and some high-level crooks. After that, he was requested to go back to his office as he was told that he's going to be teaming up with Melissa and Izumi, and All Might is there telling them that they're going to be going on a mission to try and fight this man. This man being called the Spawn, and his, quirk, or should I say artificial quirk, is called Delusion's Eye, which allows him to basically clone himself, but these clones have their own personalities, making them quite dangerous and unpredictable. Not only that, if he were to die, he basically his consciousness would go into one of the nearby clones. And apparently, he's one of the original members of the Aprishiki project, specifically a child that, let's just say, was problematic. Not only that, he's started making a drug cartel that sells high-level drugs that, when consumed by a person, gives them a random artificial quirk, making it quite dangerous. So, Damien wants him to basically be taken out, to say the least. So, after Izuku was waiting for the rest of the others, we ended off the video there. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, when they're basically waiting, Izuku basically looks over and sees All Might saying this. Alright, it's time for us to go. As Izuku would say this, finally! Can't wait to try and fight him. This is gonna be quite interesting. As Izumi would say this, yeah, let's just say that. So, while they're moving through the city, they made it to the area where Spawn usually does his dealings. This place is quite, it's basically the slums. Basically filled with graffiti, broken down buildings, and Izuku can clearly hear somebody getting... Yeah, let's just move on. So, Izuku, while moving around the city, he would see something in the distance. Something that seems to be in the shape of a tail. As when he looks over, he sees a person talking to a man with a iron mask that seems to be based off an Iron Maiden. As he would say this, here. So, where's the drugs? As he would say this, here. As when he takes it, he would just start running away. As when everybody saw that, they would think, the heck was that? As Izuku would start charging forward, as he would tackle the man. As he would say this, hey, what are you doing? As he would say this, I can clearly hear you. Right there. Remember how you were getting, those drugs? As he would say this, I don't know what you're talking about. As he would say this, really trying to lie out of here, eh? As he would start summoning out his Senta Spear, as he would point it at his face, as he would say this, start talking. Who gave you the drugs? As he would say this, Um, uh, as All Might would come forward to him as he would say this. Izuku, what are you doing? As he would say this. It seems that we found one of the culprits. Or at least a person that's been working with Spawn. As they bring him to a little rundown restaurant. As they would start talking to him. As Izuku would say this. So, explain yourself. As Izumi would say this. You're not a judge. As for... Wait for a second. As for Melissa, she would say this. Well, he did have to torture many people back when we were working with the Aprishiki project. I mean, have you seen most of the people that were basically being tortured by Izuku? I mean, I did remember one of them getting their teeth ripped off and getting replaced with spider eggs. As Izumi would say this. Excuse me, what? As Izuku would continue. Alright, tell me, where did you get these drugs? And what they do, as he would say this. Fine. They're actually drugs that give you artificial quirks. They're from this guy by the name of Spawn. As he would say this. So, where did you get them from? Mind telling me, or guess I'll just have to let my little friends take care of you. As this rundown restaurants like cockroaches and many other insects around the place, basically started flocking towards Izuku, they will start, well, going into his hand, basically like wrapping around his hand, as he would say this, or I'll just let my little friends crawl inside you, and let them fester and rot your body. Do you want that? As he would start smiling sadistically, as the guy would kind of seem scared, but says this, I'm not afraid of you. Besides, what can your little insects do? As several of his, well, spider-like appendages would come out, as he would say this, are you afraid now? As his eyes, or at least one of his eyes, the bug-like one, over here, the purplish one, this one specifically, would start glowing this almost iridescent purple, as he would say this, okay, fine. Got them. In the nearby alleyway. He would always come every single week to get my fill. As he would say this. So, why are you getting those exactly? I thought you can only take one dose and then you're able to get one quirk. As he would say this. Well, I'm able to get multiple quirks. If I drink a lot of them, I'm able to use random quirks like these. As his arms would transform into kittens? As Izuku would just feel like he would start laughing, saying, really? That type of artificial quirk? You're able to summon kittens out of your hands? I thought that was I thought the guy with the hangers for... oh my god. I thought the guy with the, hanger hair or whatever, was stupid, but this, this takes the cake. As one of them would say this. So, you have an artificial quirk that's, or at least multiple artificial quirks? Says, Melissa, as you say this. Yes. They told me if I were to take them, they would give me a lot of them. And so, I took a lot of them, so I can provide my family, okay? The reason why I did it's because I want to provide for my family, but I couldn't. As Izuku would say this. I see. I guess you're free to go. As he would say this. Wait, really? As he would say this. Yes, but next time if you were to deal with these guys, I'm gonna go and murder your entire family. In cold, cold blood. Got it? As he would give a sadistic smile to him, as he would say this. Right! As he would start running away. As All Might would say this. Young Todoroki, maybe you should try and be more kind. As he would say this. Well, I am a judge. Not only that, I specialize in torture and, well, gathering information, and the way I do that is by torture. So I guess I always had to act like this. Anyway, we should start going to that place for the next week at least. So, while we're basically waiting for the next week, Izuku is basically just doing some stuff around this broken down neighborhood. Mostly, I don't know, killing some normal thugs. But All Might would detest this, as Izuku would say, and I quote, "Shut the fuck up, old man." God. He would just say that to All Might. All Might would just get insulted, but realizes that there's no way in convincing him. So, after a while of waiting for the time of the new drugs, they would go forward as it's finally the day. So, they started going to several alleyways, but one of them being the alleyway where Izumi decided to go to. Well, she would see a man getting drugs from this iron faced man, as she would tell everybody, thanks to a walkie talkie, that they're there. So, they would start going to their location or her location as they started following, the masked man. So, after a while of following him, they would be brought to a large warehouse. After going in it, they see several tubes and several different types of plants, and one of them seems to have like a cage, but more specifically, a cage filled with let's just say animals, mostly filled with dangerous, toxic, and maybe even kind of cute animals, in fact, for some reason. As one of them would say this, being Izuku, "It's just like the old lab back in the day, right, Melissa?" As Melissa would say this, "Yeah, but without all of the blood. Actually, never mind." As she would look over and see a dead body, which seems to have been disemboweled. As All Might would just be horrified, including Izumi. She would start vomiting, as she would say this, "What the hell? This is madness!" As he would say this. "Yeah, I guess you could say that. But to me, it's more like a symphony. Anyway, where's this spawn guy?" As they would hear the sound of, a sword smashing into the ground. As Izuku would basically jump backwards as he would land on his feet. As he would say this, "I'm guessing he's finally here." As there's this man in front of them. This man seems to be wearing a black lab coat with sharp fangs and wearing a face mask. In this case, a mask that covers half of his face, but not only that, covering his eyes. He also seems to have 4 arms for some reason. As he would say this, "So I'm guessing you gain multiple quirks, or artificially made quirks, to be more precise, by using your own drugs." I'm guessing you were on your, I guess you could say that your own, wait for a second. And let me guess, you used yourself as a test subject for those special type of drugs that you were making, right? As you'd say this. Hello there, Reaper. As you'd say this. "Oh, you did remember me. So, how's your time here in Japan?" As you'd say this. "Pretty uneventful. But you trying to stop me is making me pissed off. Daring to try and stop my operation makes me sick. Now, allow me to show you the power of Delusion's eyes." As several copies of himself would come out of there, each looking more terrifying than the last. One of them seems to be all bloodied. The other seems to be more muscular than man. Like, he literally looks like muscular. If muscular was, bigger and had a skull mask and wielding an axe. And the other one seems to be small, but also seems to have, well, well, let's just say like animalistic type feet. What do I mean by this? I mean double jointed feet or double jointed legs. So all three of them will start charging forward as All Might is fighting against the muscular one, the the um the one that looks animalistic would start fighting against Melissa, and finally for um well, wait for a second. Izumi would start fighting the last one. As for the the actual the actual like spawn would say this. So, I'm getting ready to fight you. I'm going to fight you, the one of the most powerful elites in, or at least the most powerful soldier back in Russia. Jack. Not Jack, I meant Izuku, also known as the Reaper. Said to be one of the most dangerous and most powerful artificial quirk users in the Apristiki project. This is going to be quite a fight, right? As he would say this. Well, hell it is! As he would bring out the center spear, as he would lick the blade. Yes, this is gonna be fun. Gonna be tearing you apart and making you suffer. As the battle would start, he would start charging forward as he would start summoning out these kunais out of nowhere, as he would say this, being Izuku. So I'm guessing you got a creation type quirk similar to Yaoyorozu, right? As he would say this. I don't know who this Yaoyorozu person is, but yes, I do have a creation quirk, but I'm only allowed to create knives. So, as he would bring out a knife out of nowhere from his body, as he would say this, now, ready to die. As he would say this, like hell I ever be. As he would start charging forward again, using his, well, spear to start slashing at his body. He would start slicing off limbs as everybody would see him, just like tearing off his limbs. But he would start regrowing them as he would say this. Phew. You know they have the same regeneration as you, right? Anyway, take this! As he would slice off one of his arms as it starts regrowing again, as he would say this. Oh, we should have been best friends sooner at least, because you're quite a good playmate. Now, allow me to show you something that I have learned. Take this. As several poisonous webs would start coming forward to him, like, they would start, like, being pushed forward in front of Spawn, as he would say this, being Izuku. Poisonous web, Arachne's judgment. As he would start pulling on one of the webs that he had, as it crashes forward into him, slicing him into little tiny bits, killing him, but his quirk would start kicking in as his consciousness would start going towards the muscular one. The muscular one, or should I say the new Spawn, would start punching All Might right in the chest, basically causing him to bleed as he would start flying away. Ezekiel would grab him as he would put him in a nearby, machine, as he would say this, being Spawn. This brand new body is quite strong, thanks to one of the artificial quirks that I've given myself. Strength enhancement. Now, ready to die, you so-called Reaper, as he would say this. I can't even. I can't even exude. I can't even say how much I'm having fun. I guess I can't hold back any longer. I guess I can just show you what I'm truly made of. As he would start touching the floor, as several insects would start coming out of the floor through the cracks, as he would say this. Take this. Face my hive. As several insects would start coming towards him, as he would start, wait for a second. As several insects would start crawling around him. Some of them are poisonous, some of them can easily just kill a person, some of them can even eat alive as he would start trying to, destroy them, but there are too many. As he would say this, damn it, as he would summon out a few more clones, tons of them in fact, as Izuku would just slice their head off. After killing these clones would dissipate, turning into just dust. As he would say this, now, allow me to have some fun. As his centispear would be thrown at rapid speeds, going at Mach 1, as when it does connect to spawn, it would rip open his chest and come out the back. He would die right there, as his consciousness would also go into a different body, specifically the one that Melissa's fighting. Specifically the one that's... wait for a second. The one that seems more animalistic. It starts charging towards them as he would say this, "You're gonna die for that!" As it has a large tail, a bushy one that seems to be throwing out spikes. These spikes would start connecting to Izuku as he would get stabbed right in the head. As he would say this, "That wasn't nice." As he would rip off the spike from his head, as blood would start gushing out of there as it starts regenerating. As he would say this, "How about take this?" As he would start charging forward as he stabs one of these spikes into his neck. As he starts regrowing it, as he would say this, "Why, you insolent!" As he would start charging forward again, as he would start, shooting out, not really shooting, more like kicking at rapid speeds. Izuku would grab onto his leg as he would say this, "What in the..." As he would say this, "Take this!" As he would basically hurl him into the floor, cracking his skull. As he would be dead again, but he starts going to another vessel, being the one that, Izumi is basically fighting. The one that seems to be bloodied. As he would say this, "Now, allow me to show you then. I'm absolutely pissed off." As several arms would come out of his body. Too many to count. At this point, he's starting to look like a Buddhist god. Wait for a second. As these hands are basically covered in this red substance. And this red substance seems to be red fire. As he would start charging forward, as he starts dealing several punches at him, Izuku would say this, "I can't even feel it. Take this." As he would, not really crate, more like shove his hand into his mouth, as he would start being choked to death, thanks to the poisonous webs that he's producing. As when he pulls out, he would start moving away. That's what she said. So, when, Spawn would get, several webs into his, mouth, he would start choking to death. As one of them would say this, "Wait, we shouldn't kill him, please," says Izumi. As he would say this, "Why?" "Well, Damien told us to kill him, so..." As he would start moving forward, as All Might would say this, "Wait, we could just bring him to Tartarus. I mean, even though he's a part of the Hero Commission, we shouldn't..." As Izuku would not hear him, as he would stab the guy right in the chest. Because he didn't create a clone, he's now freaking dead. So, because he's now dead, let's just say, everybody was shocked. Except for Melissa. As Melissa would say this, "We did it." As Izuku would say this, "And as for these drugs, Melissa, maybe bring them to your father or something like that. Maybe you can give them to, create these, special drugs, but only for people that actually deserve it." As she would say this, "Maybe." As Izuku was basically thinking, one of them would come forward, being All Might, as he would say this, "Why did you kill him?" he could have just been, as he would say this, well, Damien told me, so I can't really, say no to an answer. So yeah, that is why I had to kill him. It's after all Damien's orders, and he was the one that literally, freed me from that horrible life of just being a weapon. Even though I pretend a weapon most of the time, saying that I am a weapon, I just want to be a normal person. Just like all of you guys. But, anyway, we should start reporting back to Damien. Let's go. As Izuku would start leaving, as for Melissa and All Might would say this. That boy. He would kind of feel, scared. As Melissa would say this. Don't worry, Uncle All Might. And besides, I know him personally back in the day, so don't worry. Besides, he might be my future husband? As All Might would say this. Excuse me, what did you say? As she would say this. Oh, nothing. As for, well, Izumi, she would say this. What the heck is he? He's super powerful, but instead of becoming a villain because of his quirk, he decided to become a hero. As she would think, my mom did tell me about something about, well, Izuku. As she remembers a flashback back at home, or at least on a phone call. Wait for a second. So, back a few hours, more like a few weeks ago than anything else, she was told by her mother that her, well, that she had like a child before her, being Izuku. After she was told of this, she asked, so who's my brother then? As she would say this, being, well, her. I don't know, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that Izuku Todoroki boy is Izuku, or your long-lost brother. As she would say this, you think so? As she would say this, it might be a coincidence, but he does have green hair, and he has a quite similar figure to my ex-husband. As she would say this, I see. So, if that's true, then, as she would say this, yep, Izuku Todoroki is your brother, or at least your half-brother. So, the end of flashback. When she came to her senses, they started leaving as they report back to Damien. After that, the rest of the, internship was a bit normal until the next episode. So, unfortunately, this is going to be the end of the episode. And yeah, so, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!